agricultural and medical programs in that endeavor. And he holds a bachelor's degree from Portland State in community development. Abby Loffman comes to the Civics Learning Project from Indiana. She taught 2nd through 8th graders, and I learned 4th grade is her absolute favorite, over 8 years. And then she transitioned to higher education in 2019, joining the College of Education at Purdue University. Her focus was building community partnerships and service learning opportunities, along with teacher mentoring and support. So which one of you would like to go first? Oh, they didn't work that out. The most important part.
I know, we have folders too. So.
Okay, I can pass those out while one of you begins to speak. Oh my goodness.
That is for the end.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Oh, Chris is getting his note cards. I want to make sure. Okay, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. I feel like sometimes when I get a microphone, I come way strong. But thank you so much for having us tonight. We're really excited to get the opportunity to share more about the Civics Learning Project. We'll refer to that as CLP tonight. Chris will kind of start us off, I think, with some more background into the kind of the why and what makes CLP go. And I'll go into more details about the programming. And actually, I guess I'll kind of start with Nancy already did a great introduction about kind of how we started and everything with our mission. And a big part of our mission is that we are a nonprofit organization. We are individuals, educators, lawyers, and civic leaders working to equip students with knowledge, essential skills, and motivation to participate effectively in our democracy. And that mission statement is in everything we do, every decision we make, every way we move forward, we're thinking of that. And I know I'm seeing some nods because I know you all are very with that mission as well. Our goal is to create opportunities for students kindergarten through 12th grade to engage in experiences that show how government and legal systems work. We know that it can seem overwhelming for students, and we know that young people can sometimes think, does my vote matter? Does it matter if I get involved? And we want to show them that it does and that it can. I'll go through more of our programs a little bit later, but we support teachers, like Nancy mentioned, with a lot of professional development. And then our big thing is giving them opportunities for hands-on learning with their students, hands-on experiential learning, so that they feel empowered, engaged, and excited about their opportunity to be involved in this democracy. We have our evidence-based programs. The students gain knowledge that they need to learn how to participate and be an active citizen. So I'll let Chris kind of go into more.
So with evidence-based programs, we really focus in on everything being backed in data. And we have a lot motivating our work in that regard. I recognize that this is an organization with shared values, so anything I share with you is probably preaching to the choir and might feel unnecessary, but it can also be really valuable as a way for us to motivate each other and have a bigger, more robust understanding of the current context politically. So I'd like to share it if that's okay with you. So starting off, there was a recent Oregon Values and Belief Center survey of Oregonians from across the state based on their beliefs and attitudes about the current political climate. And it's been revealing some things that are a bit probably predictably fear-inducing. About 75% of Oregonians state that democracy is at risk and is at increasing risk. About 90% state that the political divisions currently make them feel unsafe and weary about the future, and more than 50% feel estranged and devalued in their public lives. So that's pretty disheartening. However, the survey also indicated maybe some ways that we can turn this around. So I hope I'm not depressing you. One thing to note is that almost 70% of Oregonians believe that there are shared values we can use to bridge these divides and get us back on track politically. As an example of that, in the survey, there's evidence that about 85% of all Oregonians support three things. One of those are equal access to government participation in elections. Again, preaching to the choir, I'm sure you're all going to agree with these things. Equal access to due process and to hold officials and institutions accountable for their actions. So CLP's programs work on fostering classroom environments based on the values that this data shows are commonly shared. This creates places where diverse perspectives and civil discourse can occur respectfully, giving youths the skills to reduce political tension and increase collaboration going forward in the future. So good things. This represents part of a generational shift that CLP is working to realize to address Oregonians' very real concerns about the current political climate. So there are a few things we must do. One, we have to teach our youth the value of our democratic institutions, which you all do here with things like the mock election, right? So thank you. But we have to teach these values and in our democratic institutions and reinforce that these institutions are a manifestation of our shared democratic values and a tool that all of us can use to strengthen our democracy. Another thing that we have to do is, in general, just empower our youth with the knowledge and skills to effectively participate in democracy, to advocate for themselves, their communities, and their future. So, I know this is a bit long-winded, but a little bit more info. According to the US Department of Education, unfortunately, youths are struggling with all of this. More than 3/4 of youths are scoring below proficient in nationwide evaluations of civics knowledge. And as an example of that, more than 50% of 8th graders don't even know what the Bill of Rights does. So that's again concerning. And Tufts University recently did a study showing that students deprived of these opportunities to engage in civics are significantly less likely to believe voting is even worthwhile, or that they can make a difference as adults. This is especially prevalent in rural and poorer communities. And only 36% of youth with limited civics engagement opportunities believe that they actually have a legitimate political voice right now. This is opposed to the about 58–59% of youths who have these more robust opportunities to learn and engage in civics. That 58–59% are much more likely to believe that they have a voice. Well, they believe that they have a legitimate voice in politics and can engage. And that's what CLP is for, to get those kids to that place. So, something not so depressing. According to the US Department of Education, youths receiving high quality civics education like that which CLP provides are 40% more likely to vote than adults. They're also more likely to go to college. They're more than twice as likely to take on leadership positions in adulthood, and they're also more than twice as likely to participate in community-based organizations like this when they become adults. So these are all really wonderful, wonderful things that increasing and improving civics education provides. CLP's programs make this higher level of education possible, especially in many schools across the state with inadequate funds and inadequate capacity to otherwise provide the needed civics education. Effectively, we're filling the gaps. So, what are our methods? The National Center for Learning and Civics Engagement has indicated 2 methods best for empowering youth to engage effectively in civics. The first one is experience-based curriculum. Like Abby said, our programs are really focusing on that. And the second one is community involvement in the curriculum. These qualities take center stage in all of CLP's programs, from our student mock trial competitions to community action projects, previously known as Project Citizen, to our community action projects where students collaborate to identify community issues and develop proposals to address these issues. So I'm done now. I know that it's quite a lot, but I urge you to consider these contexts when Abby speaks a bit about our programs to just see how these fit in. And as well, consider how maybe we can collaborate to do good and increase this education and get a more civically engaged youth. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Chris. Okay, in your folders, there's a little sheet that has our mission statement, and then also, I'm gonna be talking about all these programs that are listed here. I'm just gonna kind of go in order, so I can give some more context to some of these programs and what we do. So the first one, mock trial, is actually what it sounds like. It is legitimately a trial case that students, typically high schoolers, it is in the college level as well, but in our case, when we run it, it's with high schoolers. Civics Learning Project writes a case. It goes back and forth between a civil or criminal case each year. I'm having the privilege of being on the writing committee this year. And as a former theater kid, it is way fun. I'm like writing a script, a play, if you will, but the nice thing about it is that we really write a case. We have the witnesses, we have it presented as here's what happened. And the kids are the ones who have to say, okay, was this person wrong or right? You know, are they guilty or are they not guilty? So, and they have to prove that on both sides. They have come up with a prosecution. They become the witnesses as characters. They have to build a defense. And this is typically a club. So this is something students are choosing to do. And something I love about mock trial is that it's very accessible for students and for former theater kids like me and Chris. It's something that it's fun, and it can be seen as kind of an opportunity to engage not only with nonfiction and history and learning about the law, but you are building a character and you are doing not really a show, but in a way kind of, and it gets a lot of different kids interested in it. And the fact that it's a club, so students have to go, you know, after or before school, it's pretty incredible seeing statewide. I know Chris mentioned how important it is to get in rural communities. We have rural communities who are participating in mock trial, and they're doing a great job with it, and it's so fun to see. This program is kicking off now. October is kind of our big month. Our new case will be out October 18th, which is soon, but we're getting there. And we also provide an opportunity for teachers who might have just started a team, because it is a big lift. A lot of these teachers volunteer to do this kind of with the mock trial club. They might not get any extra funding for it, but they do it because they love it. We offer a mini mock where teams can do kind of a scrimmage against each other, and that's coming up in November, which is really exciting. Regionals will be across the state at the end of February and early March, and then states will take place in March. And then we send a team to nationals, which it changes every year, and this year it will be in Arizona. Mock trial also has mock trial in the classroom. So there's curriculum that goes with it. One of our coworkers, Timmery, who's in Southern Oregon, used it in her classroom. And she used it with the books they were reading. So she was able to make it cross-curricular. She worked with the English teacher on her team to look at, you know, whatever book they were reading, and they put one of the characters on trial, and they had to learn about that process. So there's a lot of great opportunities with mock trial to be cross-curricular. I know too, they even like brought in a witness as the science teacher of asking questions about things. It's really neat how creative you can get with mock trial. We the People is the next one on the sheet. This is a congressional based hearing, essentially. So we run this program through the Center for Civics Education, and we are the state coordinators for it. And this is actually a curriculum and a class. They recently opened it up that it can also be a club. I'm very proud to stand in front of you and tell you that we have a student-run team this year. They couldn't find a teacher who was able to help them, so they said, that's fine, we'll figure it out. So we have a student-run team this year. I love them already, but it's just really cool to see how excited they are about participating in this. Essentially, the Center for Civics Education releases 6-unit questions. And if you're feeling like you want to be like Nancy and maybe go dive a little bit deeper, if you go on the Center for Civic Education website and look at the hearing questions, they are tough questions. I read the questions and have to really go think about it and stop and really focus on it, because it's about questions about the Bill of Rights, American philosophies, the Constitution. And I know one question this year is asking about some overturned cases and asking students to analyze and think about the ways that has impacted Americans. And basically the students are in a team of usually like 3 to 5 students. They pick one of the questions and they have 4 minutes in front of a panel of judges to answer the question. And then they close their notes and the judges ask them anything they want about what they just said. And usually they have to provide even more evidence based on what they were arguing and answering about the question. It's absolutely incredible to watch. And I know on there it says we always need competition judges. There's no experience necessary. We always do training for this, and we're always looking for people to come and watch the students. 1, because they're amazing, and 2, because we need adults that can show kids that they care about democracy and care about what they're doing. And so we're always excited to welcome new people into that. We the People is also going on right now. I do both of those. I oversee both those competitions. So I'm a little bit, got a lot on my brain right now, but we're doing great. But we had a teacher coach workshop where Justice Jack Landau came and provided some perspective on the 6-unit questions. And it was amazing. Someone asked him a different question. He started like quoting Latin. He's incredible. But anyways, it was a great experience for them. And that will happen. Regionals is January 11th, and then states for that is January 25th. And I will brag for a second. Oregon always does very well at nationals. Just last year, Grant High School took home the national championship, which we love to see. And Lincoln High School is also there, and they got 6th, which is incredible. And in the past like 20 years, we have taken the Oregon has taken the national championship 7 times, has been runner-up over, it's got to be close to like 12, I think, and have been in the top 3 over 20 times. So We the People is definitely a program that is strong and Oregon represents, which is exciting. But the curriculum with this as well is also, this curriculum is K through 12. And Nancy mentioned, I know I'm in elementary, something I'm working on with We the People and mock trial is trying to get it into more elementary classrooms. So that's something I've been kind of brought on to also do. Courthouse experience tours. This is where we have a really big need. We have judges at the Multnomah Circuit Court that love inviting students into an actual courtroom while the hearing is taking place. So we help facilitate that by providing courthouse experience tour guides. And what they do is that they meet with the teacher and the students in our offices and kind of go through, we're going to walk over to the courthouse, here's what it's going to be like, here's what you're going to see. And that's what they do. They talk them through it, then walk them over there, go in the courtroom. The judges there love this program. I was just in a meeting with them last month, and they constantly tell us, what can we do to make it easier for you? What do you need from us? How can we support you? They love getting the chance to see students in their courtroom. I know we've had volunteers who said the lawyers were like, hey, this is why this is going on to the students. And you know, the judge would even say, this is what's happening now. I mean, they really care about having students see the process and see an actual trial. And I know I was telling Chris too, that I feel like when students get the chance to actually go see a trial and get get a better understanding of not only the process, but maybe some empathy, and also seeing how important the work, not only the lawyers and the judges, but the bailiff and the jury and all the people there are. I hope that maybe when they get that jury notice someday, it's not it's oh, I'm doing an important duty for my county, for my state, and for my country. It's an honor, right? So, and the judges also take time to come speak to the students one-on-one about their background, about their career, about how they got there, and answer any questions. Our biggest need there is just getting volunteers for the courthouse tours to just take the students there. The teachers are there, we don't just let the students loose, trust me, we keep them all together, but that is our biggest need right now. Please.
So the courthouse experience tours are really notable because they actually predate CLP.
Yeah.
They started in the 1960s and they have thrived ever since. So they are timeless and we love them in their core. So if there's any interest at all in becoming a tour guide, we highly encourage you to look at that sheet and follow up with us because we would love to have you. It is a fantastic program.
And it's free. It is free, it's no cost. The only thing that sometimes is needed is that buses for teachers or subs or things like that. But again, the court and the judges, there's no cost for us to come and do that and visit. They truly just want to see the students being there, and it's incredible. I love it. Community action projects, Chris mentioned, this is also through the Center for Civic Education. It was Project Citizen. We kind of renamed it to Community Action Projects because we felt it better represented what the students are doing. This is K through 12. We mainly see middle school and high schoolers doing it, but I know my fourth graders could do this. So I'm trying to get in more elementary classrooms with this one for sure. Essentially, students think about a problem or something that's bothering them or something that they're noticing in their community, and they come up with a way to fix it. And recently, I can provide a couple examples. One of the middle schools in Bend, Oregon, did their project about the effects of having like your pets, so cats, especially like feral cats or letting your like cat outside, and dogs, and that effect on wildlife. And they had a policy position about how they did all this research about bird migration. I mean, it's incredible, and it is on our website, happy to share it. But the students recorded themselves and what they did with their research and their policy suggestion and who they want to meet with. I mean, these were like seventh graders. So it was incredible to see that. Our high school, Roosevelt High School, which is Portland Public Schools, their project was absolutely incredible. They realized that the Title IX response and form for their school was not really being done how it was supposed to be. And they found that out because they had questions and because they had experiences with reporting a Title IX violation and nothing happening. And so these high schoolers did incredible research, went to the school board, got their friends involved, made a social media page, got traction on it, and they have actually seen change because it has become a topic at school board meetings of, hey, we got to figure out Title IX. And this was all because of a group of high school students who had the questions and wanted to figure it out. Both those schools got their projects submitted to the Center for Civics Education, and both received the highest distinction that you can get from the Center for Civics Education. I want a special shout out at Roosevelt High School's Laura Fisher. She does We the People mock trial. She does CAPS. And if she was here with me right now, she'd be saying it's all the students, it's all the students, it's all the students, it's not me. She's incredible. And we have so many teachers like that who are amazing. The last bullet point, the conferences and workshops. A big one we have is the Oregon Civics Conference. It's the first Friday in December, and that was a legislative body decision. It was decreed as Oregon Civics Day. And so we work in conjunction with the Oregon Department of Education to provide professional development for teachers. It's very important for us that teachers are treated as professionals and they get the chance to not only learn from so many different people, not only nonprofits, but there's legislators there. We have, I think the Attorney General's been there before. One of the Supreme Court justices always comes and speaks about cases that are coming up or some compelling things that they see coming up in the future. We have to have her come twice because that one always gets very crowded. But we really value this time for our teachers to get the chance to work together as well. Like I mentioned, Eastern Oregon, some of those teachers are the only social studies teacher 6 through 12. And that's it. So this is an opportunity for teachers to come together, get professional development, get to work together. We do provide subs. We provide travel reimbursement and accommodations because it's just so important for us that teachers get that time to come together and be treated professionally. The last one I'll mention is our law day, which is kind of like professional development for kids. It's in all of our regions. We invite classrooms to come basically a little mini conference. Last year in Portland, we had so many different people come present. We usually are telling people like, we're actually at our capacity for presenters because there's so many community leaders, lawyers, judges, law community, even other people in the law community who want to just get in front of students and just talk about, here's why it's so important to be engaged in your community. Here's why it's so important. Here's the rights that you have. I know they were talking, the public defender session was very popular last year among the students. They had great questions for the public defender that was there presenting about it. And that's always in the spring for us. And we're always looking for people to just introduce the speakers, to be there to check in the kids and all those kinds of things. So that was a lot. And I'll just like briefly mention, our resources in some of the like in the classroom and resources I was talking about, we have an ERC educator resource community. It has all our resources online, but we're constantly working on adding more to that. I just worked really closely with some of my teammates to create election materials for elementary students. We focused on the voting process and the students get to make their own platform and do their own kind of voting in their class. We also focused on like, what does it mean to have a position of power and what does that look like? And I'm trying to think of one of the other, we also did a friendly aliens have landed. And I had to be very, because we have another lesson where it's like aliens landed and they want to know about your rights. And I was like, okay, I'm not telling a second grader that. But I will say that friendly aliens, we're so happy. We welcome, but like, we're all good. But they came and they're very curious about your rights and their rights. I made them sillier. Like we can have ice cream for breakfast and we can dance whenever we want. What are some of your rights? And so we kind of took from the UN rights of children, but it was like the right to play, the right to learn, the right to be safe. And the students kind of have to think about those and look into those. And anyways, we are trying to always think about what teachers are asking us for. I know at our table, we were talking about civil discourse. Joe Schmidt, who wrote the civil discourse book, is actually going to be our keynote speaker at OCC. And we've been doing book studies for that as well, because we've overwhelmingly heard from teachers that there's some really tough conversations that have been happening for a while and they continue to happen. And we're even finding teachers being like, it helps us, if we learn how to have these hard conversations, that helps us not only with the kids, but like with our families, with our kids' families and all that stuff. Okay, try to wrap this up, or I'll just keep going because I love our partners.
So we have for you a newsletter sign-up sheet. If you're at all interested in staying up to date about what's going on with CLP, we'll make sure to circle that around if it's not already being circled around. Thank you, Abby.
I'll start it here, no pressure. I'll just, I know I need to like write to you, so.
We also both want to just say this is such a privilege to be here.
Yes.
It's wonderful to be among people with this shared mission to promote and maintain democracy. So hooray, all of us. And thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
If you would like, we're always looking for volunteers, as we've said, and there's a sheet in the packet if you are at all interested. And if you want to make a small donation, no pressure. It's always appreciated because then we can pay for the buses, pay for the teachers to get to OCC and all of these wonderful things. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you all.
So do you have corporate support?
We have some corporate support. One thing that we're working on really pushing this year is to encourage people, if they have employers or know corporations that might be interested in doing a sponsorship. We actually are rolling out a sponsorship program for each of the 5 programs that Abby mentioned that are on that volunteer sheet. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like mock trial, I mean, we the people, some of to register teams and do stuff, there is an expense with that sometimes with the competition. So that's why we're really hoping we can encourage the sponsorships, especially to help students get there and, yeah.
Have you had any interaction with Healthy Democracy?
Ooh. Tell me more ask me more.
They're the group that gets the voters together from a range of places around the state to look at a ballot measure.
Oh, can I add to that?
Please do.
It really morphed now. I've been on the board for many years on Healthy Democracy, and it used to be the Citizens Initiative Review. They would
Okay,
gather, it's a lottery-based citizen participation. And to do the pros and cons of ballot measures. But now they do community issues. And they just finished one this past weekend in Bend, convocation of a citizens assembly on
That's
homeless
great.
youth. And so, they actually operate all across the country now, and it's not just Oregon. They really do think they've just finished one in California.
for writing this down.
yes, because that sounds like perfect for Law Day, which I'm already thinking about, because it's in May, but I'm gonna like healthy democracy,
Yeah.
okay. Or we put out our feelers for OCC, but if we have people who are like, oh, I'm busy that day, I'll be like, healthy democracy.
A great organization.
Thank you so much, that's so helpful. Yes,
Can you explain how you work in the schools? Do you have to
Yeah.
are you working and have permission to enter any school in Oregon from ODE and the district superintendents?
excellent question. We actually, CLP, just hired Amanda Coven. I keep thinking of Amanda Coven, right? Okay, Amanda Coven, I could think of the last name. And she is our Coven, thank you. K-12, Director of K-12 Partnerships. And so what she essentially does, and we have regional program managers. So I'm here in Northwest, so I go down to like Salem-ish, all the way to the coast, and then obviously like this area. And we have Central Oregon, and she also does a lot with Eastern, and we have Southern. But what Amanda's gonna do for us is that she typically does the outreach to districts or to because there's some different I know there's some different terms for like districts or the groupings of schools and everything, but she does that outreach, and that's where we kind of figure that out. And we kind of come into it, as where do you have a need, and how could one of our programs or some of our curriculum help fill that need? I know for me, I was working, or I'm still currently working actually, with some of the middle school teams, in PPS, and they're really interested in CAPS, but for their teachers, they were like, it just feels like one more thing though. Like if I'm saying like, hey, do CAPS with your students, it's one thing to encourage them to do it and have resources and all stuff, but it's another thing to actually go and do it, right? And I was talking with one of their curriculum leaders, and she had that concern, and I said, okay, send me your standards, send me your scope and sequence, send me your schedule of this is what we're doing in each month. And I was able to say, they're doing a unit in like January that's all about identity and about who am I and who am I in my my family, my school, my city. And I was like, that's CAPS. It's looking at, you can easily slide in, who are we, what are we doing here, and all the hard questions, and then what do we want to see maybe change with that. And so I think, long-winded answer to your question, I think it just depends on the district, and I think we just try to offer, I know for me, like when I offer that, they want to keep me on as like support. So I'm just even more of like the teachers are gonna start caps, and if they're like, help, I have a group of students who just gets on Facebook, but they don't get on Facebook, they get on Instagram, I don't know, they get on whatever website's cool right now. Like, I'm there to be like, cool, let's try this, or so we play mini roles, or sometimes they might say, we really want to do caps. We don't really need a person, can we just have like a starter kit? We're like, sure, here you go. So it just depends, kind of what the district needs. We the people curriculum though, that's the only tricky part, because it's expensive. And you don't have to necessarily have it, but like, I know Beaverton bought the We the People curriculum for the entire school district because it meets a lot of the new civic standards that are gonna be implemented soon. So it just depends what the school district wants to do. And we work really closely with ODE to make sure that we're obviously following all procedures. And we have a lot of teachers as well that, I mean, I saw my teaching license, and yeah, so usually we just work with the district and try to do that.
Thank you.
Good question, yeah.
Yeah, who funds you, who's your biggest funder? Is it the government fund you or?
We actually have quite a bit of funding through local law organizations. So law offices are a major promoter of CLP. A lot of them end up becoming volunteers for
Yeah.
things like mock trial and We the People.
Yeah.
So a very, very large portion comes from those organizations, but we have a wide variety of funding from all sorts of
And
organizations.
you also get government funding?
I believe we have some.
Or, yeah, like with OCC and working with the Department of Education, there is kind of there's a partnership there and there is some funding with it, but we have to kind of find other revenue and everything, but there's little things like that, yeah.
I was interested in curriculum in high schools and the differentiation between what an elective is and a
Yes.
requirement.
Yes,
So I know over time, there have been mandates
yeah,
for school districts to teach certain coursework.
yeah.
But I'm curious about the civics education mandates. Can you provide any information to us?
Yeah, I definitely, I know it's usually getting cut a lot of times. You might know better than me at this point,
Well,
but
I sat on a committee that was doing all of the.
I know it's been cut, but I don't know by how
And
much.
we finished and said all of these criteria for fixed civics program.
Yeah,
And they just
yeah.
never used it. They said, no, we're only gonna do STEM.
Yeah, and that's why a lot, like when I go to a school to present caps, that's why, and I know I've said it with like mock trial and everything too, I try to just like scream from the mountaintops about cross curricular, like there's so many opportunities. And also, with civics, education is all of it though, right? I mean, it's speaking, it's writing, it's looking at data, it's reading, you all know, I'm preaching the choir again, but I think it's 2 years is required. I need to look more into that. I know across the United States, that's dwindling. My own high school in Indiana now has 1 class required, and that's it, which is devastating, especially in a place like Indiana. Personally, just speaking, but yeah, I believe here it is 2 years, and there has to be at least a government. Like government, American history, and I think the other 2 are like econ and something like that, but I need to look more closely into it. I know we have, like with the standards and when they're making changes like that, I know we have had in the past, this date predates us. I know we have had people on our staff or volunteers of our organization who do try to advocate or are on committees to talk about that, but unfortunately, like we were just saying, that doesn't always come. Our best thoughts and visions for that aren't always agreed with, but I've been pleased that a lot of legislators, recently I worked last spring, I worked with one about how to track a bill and making providing kind of a template for teachers to use with their students. And his goal was that he's like, I want students to come testify on a bill, like I want them to come and share their thoughts on it. So we kind of turned it into an assignment. And that was one of the things that we talked about. That might be a good question for students to think about, of how much of what classes they're required to take and why, and reflecting. That's a great question. Yes.
I just wanted to add, I spent time working at a high school.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I, well, I have not taught high school, and uniquely placed in that I am an elementary licensed teacher, but I was the librarian of a high school.
Yeah.
Very recently.
Yeah.
And I know so students must graduate with 3 credits.
That's what, okay.
Social studies. And then of the 3 credits, it has to be a semester of government,
Okay.
semester of economics.
That's right.
And then, but I think for the graduating class of 2026, possibly 2027, that is the civics, the new civics.
Yes.
requirement. And so I don't know, I'd be curious to learn what ODE has placed in terms of approved adopted curricula.
Yes.
That this would then, and Beaverton, if they have already purchased the curriculum, that must mean that it has met sort of the rubber stamp from ODE and.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of teachers are pretty worried about the new standards that are coming, and so we've also really, the program team specifically is really trying to think about that and think about how we can support, because we were happy to see Beaverton, buy the whole We the People curriculum, but that's not going to be an option for all the schools. And I think that, and thank you for that, because I was like, I know it's like 2 credit, and then I couldn't remember. We're curious about the adopted curriculum as well, mainly because I feel like when I was teaching, I did use the textbooks, but I also supplemented a lot. So I think even back to kind of your question, I think we're trying to stay in the lane of like, here's where we want to help supplement and like help you with some of your, here's what the standards are, and here's maybe what textbook you're using or what you have to do, but here's maybe interactive or more hands-on ways we can help supplement some of that curriculum. And that's with like permission wise, I would say, like with ODE, I know I know we share with, it's a meet, right? And Amin Kabrowski will share like, hey, we just got this resource, we put it in your newsletter, and he's always really willing to, so I think kind of got a check mark that we're like, okay.
I think just last month we shared,
Oh, yeah, we did high school new election resources too,
and then coming out this Thursday in our newsletter that if you'd like to sign up, you could sign up for, is the primary
Yes,
election resources for elementary school.
Yes, so exciting, yeah, and hopefully helpful. We know, I mean, as you all are very well aware that, I mean, even my 4th graders, like, they heard people talking, they hear people talking, they unfortunately are online and see things, and it's just, to me, it's like, we don't want to back away from those conversations. We want to provide opportunities to go head first into it and talk about it. But again, it's easy to stand up here and say that I'm not in front of the 4th graders staring at me being like, who's Donald Trump? So yeah, it's one of those things, but yeah. But
Well, if there are no more questions, we've had our guests speak a long time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Where's the sign?